This is you standing in the shower, letting clean, warm water cascade over your body while you pretend you're rehearsing for a TED Talk. You're wasting gallons just deciding whether to shampoo twice. Now, backtrack. Past your parents, past your grandparents, past every smug relative who thought the world revolved around them. Keep rewinding until you land on one sunburnt, hollow-eyed figure crouched over a dry riverbed, scraping mud just to find a sip. That guy, that's your ancestor. He has no name, no shoes, and absolutely no idea that you, a distant descendant with a Netflix backlog and a DoorDash addiction, even exist. Here's the deal. If that guy or anyone in your family tree failed to find water when the world decided to shut off the tap, you'd never have been born. You're not here because you're special. You're here because generation after generation of desperate humans got lucky, stayed stubborn, and refused to die when they probably should have. So let's talk about how close you and your ancestors came again and again to dying of thirst while civilizations crumbled like cheap sandcastles. We're going to rank 5 times your bloodline was forced through history's most brutal dry spells, the collapses where rivers vanished, rains abandoned entire continents, and whole kingdoms withered like neglected houseplants. The scale? We'll start with situations that were merely uncomfortable dehydration headaches and climb all the way to your tongue turns into beef jerky and civilization ceases to exist. Let's get into it. 4,000 years ago, Mesopotamia was the hot new real estate. Rivers, fertile soil, cities sprouting everywhere. The Akkadian Empire ruled the show, the first real super empire in history. Then around 2200 BCE, the climate pulled a nasty trick. A 300-year mega drought hit the Fertile Crescent. Rainfall collapsed, harvests failed, and food prices skyrocketed. Archaeologists have found entire villages abandoned, irrigation canals silted shut, and city walls left to crumble. By 2150 BCE, the once unstoppable Akkadian Empire dissolved into nothing but dust and broken bricks, its people scattered into smaller, weaker city-states. It was like watching the first global power run headfirst into the reality that you can't boss nature around. And if you were living there, congratulations, you're in a stone house surrounded by cracked farmland where barley used to grow, but now it's just empty soil laughing at you. Your daily meal is air and regret. Water? You can trek miles with clay jars to find a puddle guarded by equally desperate neighbors who are also armed. Drink quick, because tomorrow it'll be gone. And no, there's no rain coming to save you. Not this year, not next year, maybe not in your lifetime. Good luck explaining that to your starving kids. Fast forward a few thousand years to Central America. Where the Maya had built vast cities, pyramids, calendars, and a thriving trade network. Then, sometime around the 800s CE, things went sideways. Tree ring data and lake sediments show repeated, prolonged droughts hammering the region. Crops withered, reservoirs dried up, and once glorious cities like Tikal and Copan were abandoned. By the 900s, the Maya world looked like a skeleton of itself, scattered ruins surrounded by empty farmland. Picture yourself here. You live in a city with stone pyramids scraping the sky, but your personal water supply is a cracked cistern that now smells like a lizard graveyard. Your maize field is dust, your ruler is demanding tribute you don't have, and the only thing multiplying is your stress headaches. In what is now the Four Corners region of the United States, the Ancestral Puebloans built jaw-dropping cliff dwellings and irrigation systems. By the 1100s and 1200s CE, they'd carved entire communities into canyon walls. Then came a series of brutal mega-droughts. The water table dropped, crops failed, and rivers shrank to trickles. Tree ring evidence shows near total rainfall collapse for decades. By the late 1200s, sites like Mesa Verde were abandoned. Entire populations dispersed, seeking water anywhere it still existed. And that's you in the canyon. Imagine staring at fields of shriveled maize while hauling buckets from a spring that now tastes like desperation and dirt. You walk through a stone city that echoes with emptiness because half your neighbors left last month and the other half are planning to. You can try staying, but without rain, staying is just a slow way of volunteering for extinction. The Puebloans adapted, migrating and reorganizing into new communities further east and south. Civilization didn't die, it relocated. The lesson? Water is the boss, and it decides whether your community exists. Jump to the 19th century. Qajar, Persia, today's Iran. In 1870, a catastrophic drought hit the region. Crops collapsed, trade faltered, and within 2 years, between 1.5 and 2 million people, out of a population of just 10 million, were dead from starvation and disease. That's roughly 1 out of every 5 people gone in 24 months. Whole villages emptied. Grain became impossibly expensive, and the social structure fractured under the sheer weight of thirst and hunger. Now let's talk about you. You wake up in a Persian village where yesterday's bread cost twice as much as it did last week. Except today, there was no bread, no rice, and not even enough dirty water to fake it. Your family is selling furniture just to buy a handful of grain, and even then, the food is rotten. Forget clean water. You're drinking from whatever muddy ditch hasn't already killed your neighbor. And you're doing all this while watching government officials hoard supplies and merchants jack up prices. It's survival, but with a cruel laugh track. The famine eventually ended when rains returned, but the scars remained. Millions never saw that day.
And there you have it. 5 times water shortages didn't just inconvenience civilizations, they shredded them. The Akkadians turned to dust. The Maya walked away from their own pyramids. The Puebloans abandoned their cliff cities. Persia starved. The Dust Bowl choked families out of the plains. And yet, somehow, your ancestors threaded the needle every single time. They scraped by, stumbled forward, and handed you the gift of existence. You're not alive because you're strong. You're alive because your ancestors were too stubborn to die of thirst. So next time you let the shower run just to sing off-key, remember, your bloodline survived 1,000 near extinctions for this. Try not to waste it.